Okay, so this is going to be an update on my fig cuttings that I'm attempting to root. This was the fig cutting that was cut and suggested that I let it harden off for a day or two until it skins over. So I did that, and then I stuck it in soil. So this one had been out of soil and cut and just sitting out for about a day or a day and a half or something, maybe even 2 days. I'm not 100% sure on that, but yeah, it was out enough for it to get woody a little bit and harden up, but it didn't die. So I felt it was time to put it in soil to hopefully get it to root. So as you can see, I believe that there might be something coming out of that node. It's very possible. It looks kind of healthy, but we'll have to see. So just wanted to give you an update. This is the stem that I cut, stripped all the leaves off, and let it dry for a couple days. So it got woody and all that kind of stuff. All right, so that's the progress on that one. This one is the one that I did not use rooting hormone. I simply just cut the twig and stuck it in the soil. Now, it doesn't look like it's dying or anything. Yeah, the leaves burned back. These leaves definitely burned back. They were definitely not helping this in any way. So I probably should have removed the leaves like I did with that one. But this is for the sake of science. I'm probably not even going to keep all these fig rootings if they all do root. Or maybe I will. I'll just stick them around the yard somewhere or something. But I'm only going to keep like maybe one of each of these fig varieties that I started and pot them and bring them in for the winter, but I'm generally not going to keep all of them indoors. Definitely. I might keep a couple in the greenhouse, actually. I got an apple tree in the greenhouse. I got to maybe pull that out and plant it, and then maybe I'll keep one of these in the greenhouse. I don't know. You could see it, I don't know, on the camera it looks kind of yellow, but like when I'm looking at it, it doesn't look that yellow. It looks green. It looks like it's all right. It's kind of hanging in there a little. This node looks like it kind of died back a little bit. I don't want to pull it yet because it might be rooting, so we'll pull these out in a couple of weeks, actually. We'll empty these containers out. I'll let the soil dry up a little bit because right now it's kind of muddy, but I will let it dry up a little, and I will show you if there's any roots on these, because eventually these got to come out of here. This is, you know, these pots all got the rambutan seeds, so if they, I can't keep them both in there if they both start to grow. So one of these will have to come out, and I'll probably empty it out and pull this out and all that kind of stuff. So that's the progress on the stem cutting that had no rooting hormone, and I just simply stuck it in the dirt. If you go back to the first video, you'll see all the different methods. You'll be able to see which one I'm talking about if you're not sure. All right, so I'll leave the link above so you can go back and check the first video if you're interested in what I'm talking about and which are which, okay? So that's that with this. Yeah, the leaves didn't look like it helped this at all. They burned off. Probably should have cut those off, but again, I am just doing this for science and want to see what it does. All right, so I'm going to show you the rest of the cuttings coming up next. All right, so I'll be right back. All right, so here's the update for the cutting that I have made for the fig stem that had the rooting hormone. Now, the leaves kind of curled back and died on it a little bit. Some of them seem to be okay. That's a good sign. That's telling me that it may want to throw out roots, or already did start throwing out roots. See how it's keeping some of these leaves right here? I'm sorry if like, it's hard to watch the camera and do this at the same time. But yeah, some of them kind of curled up and died, but there's still life in them, and I'm leaving that on there on purpose because I want to see if it's going to fully die off, or if it's not going to die off, if it's worth or necessary for you to remove all the leaves like I did with the single stem, and if it helps it grow quicker or whatnot. It's just to show you, this is simply just to show you a demonstration on what happens under what conditions. Alright, looks like I got some aphids, possibly, but I can't tell you if it has roots or not. It didn't totally die. The very bud on the top is still there. It's kind of browning a little bit, but not a lot. The leaves, as you can see, kind of died a little, and some of the leaves are still going. So I'm going to give this another watering when I'm done with this video. just to make sure it stays watered. I have been keeping this particular pot completely out of the sun, whereas the other one you've seen on the other side over there in the previous clip, that one's pretty much been in direct sunlight and watered and heated and all that kind of stuff, and this one's been kind of hanging out over here. Anywhere in here I've been putting it, like in there, just kind of keeping it in the shade for now. Okay, so that is the update on the rooting hormone and the fig cutting part of that, and I'll show you what rooting hormone. I don't know if I showed this in the first video, but this is the rooting hormone I use. You could just get this in Lowe's or anything like that. That's pretty much the rooting hormone. Be careful with this stuff when you're working with rooting hormones, because it does tell you not to use it on fruit trees. I don't know if that's permanent, or I don't know. It does tell you not to use it on that. So again, I'm just doing this for the sake of science to see if you could even get this rooted. But yeah, these chemicals can be toxic, I would imagine. Just keep that in mind. Make sure you read the instructions on the back. Okay, all the cautions, and you know, it has a peel back and all that. Make sure you read that before you really start, you know, using that stuff. You're not going to potentially poison yourself or your family. But again, like I said, I'm just doing this for the sake of science. So keep that in mind. So that's the rooting hormone I use, and that was the update for the fig cutting with the rooting hormone, and I believe I scarcified that stem as well. Alright, so hang in there. I got to review this one next. Okay, so this is the update for the one that I just stuck in the water, and we'll take a look. Alright, so this is the one that was just stuck in the water. No rooting hormone, no nothing, just stuck in the water. So just by simply sticking this in the water, you can see that the leaves survived, which is very, very good sign. That is what you want to see. That means the stem is healthy, it's uptaking water, and it will most certainly put out roots. Just by looking at this, I'm going to tell you the stem is more than likely to put out roots. In fact, you can see the bud is already putting out another leaf. It's growing within its own water, or whatever you want to call it. It's still growing, guys. All right, the bud already opened up. Look, there goes some of the old bud leaf, and the plant appears to be doing just fine. Okay, so let's see if we got any roots on this. And let's see, look at this. I see roots all over this stem. I also see that in there, a little creep. He's going next once I shut this camera off. But yes, you see all those little spots on there? Those are roots, guys. Alright, that's a beautiful knob coming out of those. Are nice roots. So that means I'm going to have to, being I put it so deep into the water, there's roots all the way down it. Eventually, once these roots get big enough, I'm going to have to put this in a deep pot. That is the update. I'm going to leave that thing in there. Kill them later. The water's been, just so you know too, this gets warm here in the greenhouse. It doesn't go up to 120 anymore, but it does get warm in here. It goes up into the 90s. And I believe that may have a significant effect on the rooting of this as well. That may be essentially very important if you are trying to root these. You want that warm weather. These are warm weather plants. So it might have a lot to do with it. If it's going down into the 40s at night and it's staying down in the 40s, that may not be a good idea. You may need to root them indoors if it's going to be the cold time of the era. But nevertheless, we do see some kind of roots coming up out of that stem. That's it. That's your update for the stem in regular water in my little rooting container system I use here. Very simple system, works pretty much on anything I'm trying to root. So, alright, so hang in there. We're going to show you the next rooting. Alright, so this is the last method I use to start sprouts. I believe I got them all, but this is a different variety. I just simply stuck it in the water like I did with the other one. Nothing special about it. I didn't even use a top on this because I'm basically out of those tops, so I just stuck both of these in there generally until I can try another method. But I was confident more in this method of rooting something because I usually have pretty good success in rooting. So as you can see, The leaves did not peel back. I didn't have to remove the leaves from this. It's not stressing out the plant in any way. So far, this method of rooting these figs and leaving a few leaves on it is generally something I like to do with anything I root. You can do it with like tomatoes, strip all the leaves off, take the stem, stick it in water and wait for it to throw out new buds and everything like that. You can do that with a lot of things. But I find if you leave the leaves on and you're able to keep the plant alive with the leaves, its rooting and its growing capacity, it's like you give it a jump start because it needs the leaves in order to produce food for itself. So let's take a look at one of these stems, and this again was just simply stuck in water to root, and as you can see there's little root bumps coming out of here. Okay, it is starting to root. I do need to change that water because some of these root bumps do look like they're getting on the brown side, so that could be because the water is starting to foul. And so I am going to change the water when I'm done with this video. But yes, you do see some roots starting to form on there. Let's see the other one. It's starting to look like it wants to put out roots, but I think the water's starting to foul out, so I need to change the water on that. But in any case, as you can see, the plant seemed to do pretty good in just simply putting it in water. Now, I can't give you conclusive results yet because the other ones are still growing and they need to either grow or not grow, and we can see the growth rate of these plants as we go through the winter. I'll update you on the growth rate of them, which seem to grow quicker and better and faster, which one's putting out leaves or whatnot, you know, that kind of a thing. And so it might be more beneficial to do it this way, it might be not beneficial to do it this way. In my experience, leaving the leaves on and trying to encourage growth with some kind of foliage on it has always been a benefactor to the plant. So that is basically the end results for now. This is just your second update on this. As time goes on, I will update you again. I don't know how much more warm weather we're going to have. Most of the next updates will probably be indoors. At some point, I'm going to have to pot these, so I don't know if I'm necessarily going to show you that. But I will have to pot them, and all my soil and all my stuff I need to do is all going to be out here. So I don't know if I'm going to necessarily show you me doing that. Unless I see some kind of heavily root, I might show you me potting one of them, and so on and so on. Alright, so that's it. That's your update for all your cuttings and styles of rooting for the fig cuttings. So enjoy, like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you on the next one.